So we're
Absolutely.
talking about technology, and obviously a great deal of your work experience, 3M, has come as a supplier to several industries. And you touched on certainly earlier one of the technologies with force compliance and what that means. Has there been other breakthroughs that have aided, you think, in some of the more important markets that your company serves?
In terms of the technology breakthroughs or the inventions, I mean, I think that like I've already mentioned, the fact that the cost of a robot, and kind of the miniaturization of these robots as well. And I think the last time I looked at the data over the last 10, 20 years, or 20 years ago, a robot, a good one, would cost over $100,000. Now, a good one is maybe, I don't know, 30, 40,000. And that is that again kind of driving that, Moore's law. I think that's been the biggest, the most important one for our customers. I mean, I think on the we're not quite there on these other breakthroughs that, we need them. And I think, if I was to start to rattle them off, for the automation world out there, many people have heard my speech. It's active compliant force control for the masses. I mean, some of these devices now cost more than the robot, and we're not going to penetrate the market at those price points. We need a more attractively priced active force control. Now, there are other ways to do force control, but I think the other breakthroughs that are, and many of the investments 3M is making through our corporate ventures group are in this no code, low code space. Can you make it super easy to program a robot and handle the amount of customization that the customers need? Like you mentioned, small, medium-sized customer often has high mix, low volume. Well, you better have some pretty simple, quick recipes and setup times to be able to penetrate that market. And we're not there yet, but I think it's so energizing to see the amount of startups coming into our industry to crack that one. It's really exciting. A lot of work to do.
And another area I think that's we're seeing a lot of benefits that this market will, I think, over time benefit more and more from is even the vision or sensor technologies. Because part of material removal is the human content or contribution in terms of visually identifying the quality of the finish, et cetera. And some of that you can do with some technology been around, but more and more technology is coming to make that easier, so you can have maybe a human in the loop, but less of a human in the loop making that final decisions because you have technology that's pushing that forward. Now, as you say, in some cases it's a little bit still cost prohibitive, but as this continues to improve, and as you say, new people into the market and pushing the market for innovation, that'll continue to support it from a technology perspective.
Yeah.
There's other breakthroughs, I think.
I my engineering friends at 3M tell me they the industry seems to be a little over the top on vision especially, but there are other senses, right? There's 5 senses. There's other ways for the robots to pick up those signals. It could be audio, harmonics, could be temperature. There are other sensing devices that we haven't been as rapidly advanced as machine vision or the vision systems that seem to get all the attention all the time. And then I do think whether it's vision or audio, or temperature or whatever, just bringing it more and more in situ, closer to the substrate. A lot of the vision systems are up in the ceiling and far away from the part. I think we're going to continue to see pushing the envelope, getting that in situ feedback loop through various approaches to sensing, vision being one of them.
Yeah, I can tell you, even from, again, our experience at Calvary, a few years back, there were 1 in 10 system that might have used some kind of vision technology.
Yeah.
Today, it's more 7 in 10 likely using some kind of vision technology because of the advancements, because of the cost benefit, as you said. Even like the robots, they not only got cost better over time, but they also got better performance from the equipment. Same with the vision. And we're seeing, the pricing position get better, but also the performance of the equipment is getting better. So more and more that's being applied and benefiting the industry. Talking about this technology, and we talked quite a bit about medium size or smaller companies. And because this technology is getting a little bit easier to use, we talked about how collaborative, applications using that type of hardware to support that. Because that some of these small, medium-sized companies are kind of on their first journey in automation. And I like to get your perspective. Well, maybe what you attribute that to, we talked about a little bit already. So if you want to expand on that, but what should they do, or what advice would you give them to avoid problems to increase the opportunity for success?
Yeah, one of my bosses was an engineer and said, what's important is continuous improvement, which is the opposite of postponed perfection. and I think where people get into trouble, they want the ultimate solution, lights out kind of, and put in way too much investment in infrastructure when there are too many unknowns. When there are unknowns, these smaller victories are more important because it's going to be continuous improvement. And there's nothing wrong with, fractional automation, that if sometimes the economic, again, another 80-20, right? 20% of the applications are going to drive 80% of the productivity. So there may not be the ROI to automate that last 20%. So I think that's go into it just and it's one of the things I really like about collaborative robots. Especially some of my engineering friends are so hardcore. They think a regular industrial robot is a toy compared to the heavy equipment they're working with on these jobs. So, when they see a collaborative robot, that thing, it looks like a hairdryer, that kind of, well, that collaborative robot where I've seen it deployed it's a great starter robot, that you can take it out of the box and
Absolutely.
get going, get your hands dirty. That there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to spend, or now you can even lease them, right? So that's my advice. And it usually the other thing about these jobs is I think where we're at in the automation industry, when you're new to it, you need to strike that balance of somebody that really understands the application, which may not know anything about computers or robots, and then with somebody that really has a knack for the software side of it. And because the truth is always in the middle. And I always, I love being out in those customers where if they're missing part of that equation, if it's a startup and it's a bunch of young people, they think they can solve any issue with the mathematics and the trigonometry. It's just that easy. And it never is. You need somebody that really understands the application, where it's really just powerful when you get somebody that really knows the application lined up with somebody that has a knack for, and then it's a win-win, and I think in small, medium-sized companies, who they are, you can find two people like that, pair them up, jump in, buy one of those collaborative robots, get them to do something, you'll learn something, as opposed to writing a contract to, sorry, Joe, to do a $2 million integration job.
I agree. I think it's the best place.
Then the thing, it fails, and then the owner says, I told you guys this would never work. We're never doing it again. And that's you don't want to get into that position either. So again, continuous improvement.
And I agree. I certainly encourage people, don't try to take the most difficult task in your manufacturing. Try to automate that. Learn the technology, as you say. Roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty a little bit. Understand that technology. I've often said, even on some of these discussions, if you want to learn how to drive, you don't jump behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler. You kind of learn in the car first, and then maybe gradually.
I'll tell you another story. Just a quick one. When the iPads first came out, nobody. Everybody, why would I ever need one of those? Well, my boss at the time, he bought all of us an iPad, which was unheard of. It's like, oh, what a waste of money, I don't know what they cost back then. I think they were still under $1,000. But next thing you know, we're using them on sales calls. We're showing videos. We're doing things with them that, nobody really thought about, in the context of your industry, your job. And I think there are some parallels there with these collaborative robots now that are, an iPad is kind of like a starter computer, right? Really. But same with a robot, a collaborative robot is kind of a good starter robot.
I agree, and you can graduate to the other technologies.
Yeah,
and at that point, maybe you do bring in some, say, subject matter experts to help you to move forward in your other production and companies like that.
With confidence too. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
There's something else because both of us have had that opportunity representing, our industry a bit around the world, and we've heard the narrative in the past. That robots take away jobs. Of course, statistics, the IFR has shown it, and A3, that it's simply not true. However, it seems more people today are open to the technology and even embracing this as a benefit and is necessary for future manufacturing. Why do you think we're seeing this, I'll say, paradigm shift in the public and, in fact, even in the media's thinking?
Well, in fact, I just sent you and Sarah two of my favorite articles from the Economist, the magazine, just fairly recent. And one of those articles is entitled, "The Pandemic Has Forever Changed the Robotics Industry Relationship with Labor." And then the article goes on to explain that the pandemic accelerated this idea that robots can do the real nasty jobs. Let's save the important jobs or the more, rewarding types of jobs, creative for the humans. And I think that's a proper narrative. And we even see it in more and more now in certain countries, even labor unions, where in the 5-10 years ago is just like you said. That I think that's a good phrase that the Economist has come up with, and like you said, the data's there, and I always try to tell our colleagues, on the IFR and the A3, this. I know there's tons of data however. It's not a type. This is an emotional issue for many of those audiences. So connect appropriately emotionally with the people that don't like robots. Don't show them a bunch of pie charts and statistics. That's not going to win them over. And I think the pandemic made it, emotion on steroids, and so that I think more than ever has changed that. And I just encourage, any of our colleagues, listeners out there that are trying to crack this one from a change management standpoint, it's very much about emotion, an interview. I know Amazon has a brilliant video where they interview a young person that started out, as an operator, but next thing you know, she's running the whole warehouse and it's all robots. And you just connect with that person. You see how the robots have transformed that individual's life, made her job, her career. She openly talks about it in that video that it wasn't for the robots, I wouldn't be doing this. And I think that's how you connect with people. I know we're a bunch of engineers. We love the stats, but there's some good old fashioned PR and marketing to go along with these messages that we have to drive. So that's a subject near and dear to my heart. And this has been great here, Joe.
I've often said in the more recent past, when it's like you used to travel, I travel a lot, right? We travel all over the place. And 10 years ago, if I was on a plane or whatever, and the person next to me would say, "So what do you do for a living?" "Well, robotics." "Oh, you take away jobs."
You're taking my job.
Today, when I say it, they say, "Wow, what an exciting industry."
To the rescue. Yeah.
It's really a paradigm shift that way. It's quite interesting. And even the media, as they said, they've taken a different perspective. And as you pointed out, even the recent articles. So one thing I do like to ask our guests, what do you see in the future? What technology that our listeners should be aware of going forward in this particular area of material removal / finishing? What would you think is the next big thing?
I really think, we've talked about several of them, but I want to come back to this, getting into this untapped market of small, medium-sized businesses that, again, back to the numbers, I think it's staggering. I was in a meeting this morning where the market research team was talking about 99% of the manufacturing locations in the United States are defined as small, medium-sized businesses. That you think about it, it's a big plant, the Gigafactory here in Austin, but when in terms of a count of number of locations, there aren't very many plants like that in the world, and certainly not the United States. So to go after that market, I really, and I'll continue to harp on this in the industry meetings as well. It's really important. Why is it so important? Well, I just go back to my roots and in sales management. I had a boss that said, "Carl, it's so much more important to have, $10, $100,000 accounts instead of just that $1 million account," right? Why is that? Well, the list goes on and on. It's less susceptible to, downturns in the economy, you name it. The other one is the margins, the ability, these small, medium-sized accounts, they don't have Ignacio Lopez, global purchasing people that want their robots for free, right? They will pay for what they need. And I think that I noticed this at Automate this year. I really genuinely feel like the tide is starting to turn, that people are showing an interest in that market. And the days of just, well, how many robots are you going to buy? Are you going to buy more than 1,000 robots? Otherwise, we're not going to talk to you. Those days are gone. That now people are looking at new ways to market, new ways to bring value to customers. And that includes the small, medium-sized customer, that I think for the robotics industry, that is a very much an untapped market that's going to prove out to be a very, very lucrative, stable business for people that get there first, and people that just continue to focus on these giant key accounts and just get beaten up on price and when you lose that one account, how many medium accounts does it take to get back to the scale? When you lose that one account, the drill. So I think that's going to take some technology, but I think more importantly, it's probably going to take more innovative channels and more new creative ways to market. We heard at Automate and Automatica this new term, the distribugator. Can you act as sort of a quasi integrator and reach these customers while the big integrators just continue to focus on key accounts? That this distribugator is an interesting development in our industry. We'll see if it sticks.
And expand on that thought, a little bit. In fact, having that opportunity to work with, like you say, 10 accounts of X size as opposed to one account that's X plus size, you actually learn from each of those experiences and you can leverage across others. So that diversification, even as a supplier, is a benefit too.
Right.
So before we close, I'd like to, our viewers, our listeners, if they'd like to hear more about your perspective on the business world, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah. I'm not shy. I still have my Minnesota area code. It's +1 for the US, 651-334-1231. Call me, send me a text, and I'd love to talk about robots and how to help especially when it comes to solving problems for our customers. We know we can't do it all. We need partners. We need friends out there in the automation ecosystem to help us help our customers. So, yeah.
And I know they can reach out to you on LinkedIn too. So look for Carl on LinkedIn too. So, Carl, I want to thank you again. Carl Dougson is the Automation and Robotics Global Director for 3M. Thank you very much for being on today. I'm very honored to have you here. Great discussion.
It was, Joe. It was fun,
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Good.
Really enjoyed it.
Seeing you face to face again very soon.
Yep. In Denver, right?
That's it. Exactly. Thank you.
See ya.
Bye-bye.